Could this be the best whiskey I've had all year? Let's take a look at Larceny Barrel Proof Batch B523. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So that's right, today we're diving into Larceny Barrel Proof Batch B523. Early signs point to this being another spectacular batch. If you ask me, Larceny Barrel Proof has absolutely been killing it lately. In many ways, they're actually topping out Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I gravitate toward getting this if I see it on the shelves. I mean, I'm going to get both, let's be honest with ourselves, but this is the one I'm most eager to look for and find these days. In fact, out of all of the allocated whiskey out there that's somewhat findable, I'd put Larceny Barrel Proof right now right at the top. Last year, the C922 batch won my entire Whiskey of the Year bracket. This year's A123 was a really solid start to the year. Now it's time to see if they can keep up the trend with B523. When it comes to Larceny Barrel Proof, we've got a product here from Heaven Hill Distillery. It's their weeded lineup. And of course, with Barrel Proof, we've got the barrel strength version of it. Mash bill here is 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. Age is 6 to 8 year blend. And proof on this particular batch, B523, is 124.4 proof, which is sort of shooting right down the middle of the proofs I have seen on the Larceny Barrel Proof batches so far. All right, there's not much more to do than to dive into the whiskey itself and see if this batch truly impresses. All right, on the nose, B523. Ooh, nice. Strong vanilla bean note to it, just nice and sweet. Toffee. Big toffee note in the middle of it. That's not one that I often say or pick up on, but it's pretty prominent here and pretty direct with that toffee. A little bit of cinnamon. Yeah, really nice cinnamon. Brown sugar kind of layered in there with the cinnamon. There's a caramel butterscotch note as well. Just a nice caramel, not a dark caramel, not necessarily light, just right in the middle with a solid caramel note. There's a little bit of like a clove spice as well, so some of those baking spices, maybe an allspice note. Yeah, a little bit of like a maple syrup. And then in terms of fruits, there's maybe like a nice rich cherry, almost a blackberry kind of note in here as well. Yeah, kind of blackberry. But again, the most prominent thing here for me is like a nice toffee note. Really solid. All right, nose is very, very solid so far. Let's dive into the palate for our first sip. Cheers, everybody. Wow, that is warm and silky smooth on the palate. That is so robust in the mouth, like really great mouthfeel, and it just warmed up my entire palate like really nicely. I will say that the toffee note right there in the center on the palate too, really strong. There is a good caramel note as well. That cinnamon spice is there. There's brown sugar. Less vanilla bean, though there is a sweet note. I think that's more in that caramel brown sugar world though. This is more in that like syrupy, pancakey, really nice and rich and warming and sweet sugars all over it. Let's dive in for a second sip now that the palate's acclimated, see if we can get some more flavors to pick out here. Cheers. Yeah, okay. Now that we've got it on the palate, there was a little bit more of that clove and cinnamon spice that really kicked up there for me in the mid palate, which is great. Again, it's got that big burst of toffee. It's nice and buttery and smooth. There might even be a kind of butter note in there as well. It is really nice. There's that blackberry, black cherry kind of note going on as well. Just a sort of more rich, dark fruit somewhere in the middle. But the caramel, toffee, brown sugar is really, really nice for the sweet tones. The cinnamon and clove and spice is really, really nice as well. And then there's just a touch of fruit. All right, let's dive in for the third sip, see if we can track that finish for you and really kind of evaluate the overall experience. Cheers. Yeah, the nose is still really nice with that toffee and sugars. All right, cheers. Nice. The finish here is long. It is a long, robust experience. To walk you through the whole thing, again, I can't get over the mouthfeel here. At the very beginning, it just warms up your palate and is buttery, silky smooth. It's got that toffee and caramel and brown sugar sweetness to start out. Mid-palate goes a little bit more of that touch of like black cherry, blackberry kind of note, along with some of the spice starting to kick in. And then you really get to the finish, which is a lot more of the spice with a little bit of the sweetness lingering. So I'm continuing to get this like cinnamon heat, a little bit like a cinnamon red hot effect in the palate. And then it's got a little bit of like a brown sugar sweetness, a little bit of that toffee sticking around, and some of that cherry, and actually a bit of a vanilla note came through on that sip more than the other sips, and that was certainly on the nose. But overall, this buttery, silky smooth, toffee forward, brown sugar, syrupy kind of nature to this one is really hard to deny. It's a great batch. All right, everybody. Quick overall thoughts here on Larceny Barrel Proof B523. I think it is a great batch. I think the toffee note is surprising and bold, which is really nice. I think the mouthfeel is warm and rich, which is spectacular. I think it's a little bit hot right now. For me, it's spicy, and the cinnamon red hot effect is a lot to take. It's a barrel strength wheated, so you can't expect anything other than some punchy in the face power to it. But I am really, really interested to see how this one opens up. I've had batches that have just continued to open up phenomenally, and I think this is already starting out at really, really good, and I think it could become just straight up exceptional over time. All right, everybody, let me know in the comments below, have you been able to taste Larceny Barrel Proof B523 yet? If you did, what did you think? If not, is this one you're thinking about chasing? Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.